Bill,
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out the video part. It's not working.
Yep, you just came in. I'm letting you in.
Let's see. Hold on.
Okay, it looks like I'm in.
There
Thank
you
you,
are.
Ashley.
You're welcome.
All right,
It says
bye.
unable to access camera. Well, at least you can hear me, right?
We can hear you, and you can
Uh-huh.
see us or not?
I can see you, yes. I see Ashley. I haven't seen her since she graduated from Monteora.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm good. Great kids. I'm feeling very old.
You're not as old as Richard Hepner, so don't worry about it.
Hey, folks,
Oh, Richard, were you on there? Sorry.
gonna be a long meeting, McKenna.
Oh, boy. We're not starting off in a good note.
You do have the button ready to mute him, right, Ashley?
Oh, yes, always.
Especially when we vote on something, right?
What was that, Richard? What did you say? I can't hear you. Oh, is that a yes? Okay.
Hey, Richard, let me ask you something. How's that granddaughter?
Grandson,
Or I'm sorry, grandson.
Hammer and Hank Hepner, yeah.
Hammer and Hank.
Second base, New York Mets.
Oh, my God.
He's doing great.
He's doing great. And mom and partner are doing good?
Everybody's doing good, even though they're cooped
Cool.
up in DC. They're still under lock and key down there, so.
Yeah, they will. Well, they probably will be for a little bit. I'm not sure what
See?
we're doing here.
Is he 6 months already?
Almost crawling.
Wow.
Is he 6 months now, Richard?
It's November, yeah. Thanksgiving, so
Wow,
Okay.
you're right.
February, March, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, not earning a living, but that's okay. Who gets
We aren't either.
it?
Richard, whereabouts in DC does Eliza live?
What's that town? It's part Maryland, part DC. Tacoma.
Tacoma, okay. Yeah, our daughter's in Southwest.
I don't know
What
who
board
lives-
members do we have present? I'm sorry, I'm just entering. I see Maria Elena. I see Richard.
and Laura. We're waiting on Reggie, and actually, it's almost time to start, too.
Yeah. Do you think they're coming in?
They're supposed to be.
Who's iPad 6? I'm sorry. I came in late when you were talking.
Oh,
Who's on third?
iPad 6. 5. whatever.
that's me, Robin.
Oh, hi, Robin. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I heard you talking and I couldn't.
This is my first time doing a Zoom meeting, so I'm still trying to figure out how to do video.
Hey,
There you are.
Jackie. Jackie, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
So now, are you still closed? Like people can't come in for anything yet, right?
Oh, no. We've been open. We've never closed
You are.
down, Maria.
Oh,
Our
okay.
door's locked. We asked people to knock. So we just want to make sure that we're prepared and the people on the other side of the door are prepared. But we're absolutely open. I'm doing marriage licenses, dog licenses. Our office is totally open.
Okay.
Whatever you need us to do.
All right, great.
So yeah, spread the word.
You're welcome.
Actually, I have 3 marriage licenses scheduled this week
Oh,
so
great.
far. People,
Okay.
yeah, people are looking to get married. They're anxious, and we're doing it person to person. A lot of people don't like the virtual.
Right.
Clear me a space, please.
Hi,
Nick
Reggie.
Henderson there.
Hi. I'm here.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Hey,
And
Nick.
is Bill Campbell on?
I haven't seen him yet.
I don't see
Okay.
him on.
Mr. Rose is not on.
Is he? Should I call and see if he's coming? Give him another
Hi,
minute. then I'll
Iris.
call him.
Hey, Jackie.
Bill, do you know how I can switch to video or something?
Who's that?
It's Robin.
You
I
might,
can
you don't
switch-
see a camera, Robin, do you see a camera icon?
I see something that says start video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
click that.
That's what you
Okay.
want. Hey,
Okay.
Reggie.
It says
Hey,
unable to access camera.
You,
Maybe
are you on a,
you don't
you're
have
on
one?
an iPad?
I'm on an iPad, yeah.
You
That's
may
odd.
have to allow the iPad to
Wow.
access Zoom or let Zoom access your iPad camera.
You have to go into your settings. I think
Okay.
allow access.
So then I have to get out of this and come back?
You may be able to.
Just switch, just go to your settings. When you come back, it'll still be there.
Okay.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, how you doing, Jackie?
I haven't
Yeah.
seen you in a long time.
I've been hiding. They let me out of jail finally, though. That's-
No, you know what? I wanted dinner. I'm tired of cooking.
I'm looking to do it real soon.
Why don't you call Rose, Bill?
Can't find my settings, Peter.
It was working fine yesterday.
That's what I'm on.
Why are there so many people on all of a sudden? What's on the agenda?
Melina.
It's busy. I'll give him one more minute. Oh,
Peter,
that's,
I can't find settings.
you can't get on?
Hold on, I'm gonna get help here.
Oh,
It's-
hold,
hear you,
hold on
Robin.
one second.
Oh, here it is. Oh, wait. No, that's not it. Go back, hold on.
I'll
Is this-
re-email it to you.
Hold on. All
See
right,
if
hold on.
it's- Hold on.
Robin, there's a cute little icon that shows that you're on. You might want to
Okay.
leave that.
I don't know where it is.
Okay, I'm gonna forward it to you right now. You want me to, which one do you want me to send it to? Me-
Oh, come on, it's gotta be on
Okay,
this
you should
someplace.
have it in a minute.
Robin, are you looking for settings?
Yeah.
It should be coming in,
Go to your
should have
home
it
screen.
in any minute.
Oh, wait, here.
Okay,
Okay, got that. Now I go to where?
we'll give Councilman Rose another minute. He misplaced his link.
I go to
He's,
display.
he's done that for a while.
Misplaced the link?
Oh, yeah.
You'll want to, in your settings, you'll want to go to the Zoom app, scroll all the way down to where it says Zoom.
Okay.
And then in there, you've got to move the switch over next to the camera.
United States of America.
That's why these stocks are in price.
Yeah.
Surprised
they haven't done it yet.
To me, it's my life. It's what I do every day. So it doesn't, but
Councilman Rose on yet?
I've been here.
Not yet.
No, Rose.
Oh, Rose, sorry.
No.
Because I wanted him to give a report first thing.
pay attention and see if you would like to
I
be.
am paying attention.
Hey, I'm talking to you. I'm saying, pay attention. That's if you think you can be in the court. Oh, wait.
Well, we're 3 minutes after, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and start. I'll call to order the Woodstock Town Board Business Meeting of May 19th to order. Councilman Hepner, do you want to give us a golfing update?
Oh, come on.
Oh,
That's the update we were waiting that Lauren's gonna give us, that we've been waiting 5 minutes for.
Yes.
Really?
Hepner, are you unmuted?
I'll
Hepner?
do it at the end. I prefer, it'd be more humbling and I'd feel much better if Mr. Rose was here to share it.
And it's much more painful at the end. That's a good time to do
I
it.
was being nice, Jackie. That's okay.
Okay, so then the first, I'm going to go to topics. And I've spoken to you all over the last couple of days about the situation at Salinas. And we have present Steve Barshoff, who is the attorney representing Salina before the planning board. Steve, I think you're muted, so if you want to unmute yourself and maybe just give us a brief overview of what you're looking for.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to address the board. Essentially, what we're hoping to be able to do is to have Selena operate on a very limited basis, essentially open some cabins for occupancy and do this in strict compliance with all applicable requirements imposed by the governor. And essentially what that would mean is that there would be no sit-down restaurant operations, no bar operations. This would strictly be a few of the cabins being occupied at less than their capacity in order to assure proper social distancing. There would be a questionnaire. This was actually a suggestion that Rod and Bill came up with, that there would be a questionnaire that every prospective guest would have to fill out, confirming that they had not been exposed to the coronavirus, and warrant that in writing before they would be allowed to come onto the premises. There's also a strict code of conduct that Selena has proposed. And by the way, this is only partly relating to Woodstock in the sense that wherever Selena would be undertaking any operations, it would be following the same protocols. I hope that's been circulated to everybody. If it hasn't been, great. I'm happy to answer any questions with respect to that. But I think if you look at it, you'll see that this is a pretty robust set of protections designed to assure that whatever operations are undertaken are done in compliance with all social distancing and COVID-19 protection measures. The genesis of this is that, look, Selena is no different than any of the other hotel and hospitality companies around the world. They are hurting big time. And I thought that perhaps there would be a way that they could operate on a very limited basis responsibly and do so in a way that would help the economy, help their business, but also not do any harm to the town of Woodstock or any of the residents of the town of Woodstock. And so we made that proposal. And we're hopeful that you will authorize it. Essentially, what we're contemplating, and this was Rod's suggestion, is a memorandum of understanding that would be entered into that would condition Selena's operations on a temporary basis on compliance with this code of conduct, compliance with the terms of an MOU, and also require that Selena go through in good faith and with diligence the site plan review process that it has initiated with the planning board. And Selena's prepared to do all of those things. And I'm happy to answer questions, but I will say one thing that I really want to emphasize, which I'm just so grateful, regardless of which way you all decide to go on this, really grateful and appreciative that you would take time on relatively short notice to discuss this in a town board meeting.
So Steve, you had mentioned earlier the code of conduct. The original one was sent out a day or two ago. The updated one which had some changes went out late this afternoon. So I don't think anybody has had a full opportunity to digest that, but I don't think it varied that greatly from the original one.
No, it did not. What it did principally was to assure that included in the code of conduct was the requirement of the questionnaire, and then the questionnaire itself was appended. I guess I should also say that the genesis of this code of conduct is not COVID-19. The genesis of the code of conduct goes back to last year when we had met with the planning board, and I had also met with neighbors, and made a promise. I made a personal promise that Selena would develop a code of conduct that would assure that whatever activities it undertook, it did so responsibly and in a way that would not cause problems for neighbors the way the prior owner-operator had for many years. And that was prepared, and the music provisions that were in there, so that's where their genesis was. And then, of course, with respect to COVID-19, the code of conduct was amplified substantially to address the obvious public safety and health issues that need to be proactively addressed so that there aren't problems from day one.
Mhm. So if I could just add a little bit of history too. So this pickle kind of started under the ownership of the former owner. He did some work over there that the town felt was in violation, that was without a site plan review, basically rearranging landscaping and putting in new gravel driveways. He was issued a stop work order. At some point, the building inspector lifted that and gave that operation a building permit to renovate, I believe it was 3 cabins and the restaurant. The town board did challenge that before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Zoning Board of Appeals found that the permit had been given in error, that there was a stop work order that had not been dealt with, that could only be dealt with through site plan. So in the meantime, during the construction and before the permit was reneged on, the new owner, Selena, came in thinking they had a clean building permit and a going operation. That then was shut down. Now, the stop work order didn't actually shut down the entire operation. It shut down the use of the 3 buildings that were halfway constructed or reconstructed. So there is an argument to be made that the other 14 or so rooms that had been unaffected technically could still be rented. This is a much cleaner way, instead of trying to battle it out with legal cases, having agreements where they would come in and that they would do some restricted rentals. And that's how we got here today. Does anybody have, and actually I just want to give credit to Councilman Hepner, because it was he that suggested the checklist for the guests coming in. So anybody have any questions for Steve or I?
This is Laura. I always have questions. So the questions I have, I mean, the questionnaire, I mean, how binding is that? That's kind of interesting. And, you know, like I've had a cough for the last like 5 years. So if I did the questionnaire, do you have a cough? Well, I've had one for 5 years. So I guess I'm figuring people are going to answer any way they want. And I don't know. And it looks like the same questionnaire got attached twice to the latest email. And I guess the other question I have too is about with the room recovery. Like I might think that you might want to add as in your protocol that you would have some number of days that a room would stay empty between guests, because I would think then if a guest, I know you're going to clean and disinfect all the often touched surfaces, but I guess my non-scientific belief, but just my belief, is that if there were coronavirus in a room, if it was empty for say 3 days, you know, the most I've heard that coronavirus lives is 3 days on plastic and 1 day on cardboard. And, you know, so I guess I might think that there may be some safety value to letting a room stay vacant for a few days in between guests. So I might have liked to have seen something in the conduct to say that a room might be kept vacant for, you know, as a normal course of action, might be kept vacant for a while.
Laura, I'll be happy to bring that to Selena's attention. Those are certainly constructive suggestions, no doubt about it. I wish I was more expert in the technical end of this thing, but obviously they have people there who they're working with, and I'll certainly bring that to their attention without a doubt. And as far as what people would say on the questionnaire, you're right. Certainly people might not tell the truth. But we're not relying on them telling the truth as much as we're relying on all of the social distancing and other measures that are designed to protect no matter what somebody would say. I think what the town had in mind, because the town was suggesting this, and I guess came from Richard, was that it's just an added level of redundancy, if you will, or protection. I don't think that it is going to guarantee that people won't lie, but you hope, since we are all in it together, that more people and most people will tell the truth.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, what I might like to see on the questionnaire is a question that says, will you follow social distancing and wear a mask when you can't maintain a 6-foot distance? Because we are in the state of New York, and that's what our governor has said last I knew. So I would think that an important question to ask on the questionnaire is, are you going to do those two things? Maintain a 6-foot social distance and wear a mask when you cannot.
Right, we can certainly put that on the questionnaire. That's not a problem. But I think that the most important thing is whether or not someone articulates that in answer to a questionnaire, they're going to be required to do that when they're on site, no matter what they would say in a questionnaire. So they have to.
But if you put it in the questionnaire, then they're on record saying that they will. Yeah. And then if they don't, how are you going to require it on site? I would think that that belongs in the questionnaire, just because we're trying to really be making sure that all in Woodstock, when I hear about people in Woodstock that aren't wearing masks, they seem that they're all people that kind of came to visit. So I would feel better if that was in the questionnaire. That's
it's not a problem at all. I was certainly not trying to disagree with you. Not an issue at all.
Richard, you had a question?
I have a question.
All right, Lauren, you go. Richard, as soon as you get unmuted, you can ask yours. Go ahead, Lauren.
How many, I got in here a little bit late. How many cabins are you talking about renting out?
So there would be 3 cabins, and the rooms that would be in those cabins would be occupied by no more than 2 people.
Okay, who's the enforcement up to on this? Because if the place is closed, notice cars going in and out. If you can rent 3 cabins and they rent out 6 or 8, no one knows how many cars are going in and out for that.
I'm not sure, and I understand. Are you asking me whether there'll be some monitoring this by somebody?
Well, yeah, is it up to the town to enforce the 3 cabins?
Well,
no more than 3 cabins.
Selena will honor its agreement with the town, and Selena will be happy to have the town building inspector come on in and verify that. That's not a problem.
We can have Butch go over and periodically check on that.
Yeah.
Not that I don't trust them, but I don't trust anybody. So
listen, there's a reason why we have building inspectors. They inspect.
Yeah, no
problem coming out and inspecting. Absolutely.
I'm with you.
Yep.
Richard?
Well, I was going to ask the same question. So Steve, again, so basically 3 cabins. How many rooms again?
I sent that list on. Hang on, let me pull it up on my own screen.
You send that and get that.
According to Butch, there were 14 rooms over there.
No, forget the 14. What is the initial plan to open?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that information. Just bear with me a moment. It was in the email that I sent to Bill earlier today, and I'll just pull that up for you, and I will tell you exactly what that is. It was in the email, Bill, that had those attached to it. So what there would be cabin 7, which has 2 adults, and just in that one cabin. Cabin 8 has 3 rooms, each of which would accommodate a maximum of 2 adults. So there would be a total of 6 for that cabin. And cabin 9, which has 5 rooms, and also would have a maximum of 2 adults a room for a total of 10. And that would be it.
It's 19 people. I'm counting.
That's 18. A maximum of 19. No, a maximum
18.
of
18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay.
18.
Okay. Now, and no food.
The food would be takeout. In other words, the kitchen would be available, but not for a sit-down restaurant. So if you wanted to call in and order, there would be something prepared and you could get a box lunch or something like that.
Tables outside?
Not entirely clear whether there would be a place to stand and eat or not, but if there is, it will be in complete conformity with whatever the requirements are of the governor. So if people can eat outside and they're allowed to, then they would be properly set up with proper distance. If they're not allowed to by the governor, then it won't happen.
But under that scenario, Steve, then more than 19 people are coming onto the property.
No. I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't clear, Richard. This
I
is
thought
only limited to guests.
Public. Is the food for the public? Or
No.
Okay.
Just for guests.
That it, Richard?
For now, yeah.
Reggie?
No, it's already been answered. My question's
Okay,
already
Maria Elena, any questions?
No, right now, no.
Robin? I'll give you
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
My questions might be a little premature, so I'm kind of looking into the future. And obviously Steve knows of the neighborhood concerns because we had a really good talk months and months ago. What is the timeline for opening these 3 cabins? Like looking into your crystal ball, what kind of month, date?
I don't know exactly, but I think, Robin, this would be measured in weeks, not in months. These cabins were picked out because they can be occupied quickly. There are others that require more work to be done, but these are able to be utilized now. Now, how long it takes for Selena as a practical matter to have staff, to be sure that they're properly trained, to be sure that the appropriate supplies are in place, and the various types of things that are needed to be done in order to have the code of conduct be undertaken properly from day one, no ifs, ands, or buts. Again, I think it's measured in weeks, but I couldn't tell you if it's 2 or 3, but I would put it, perhaps in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It could be less than that.
Okay. And in terms of opening up the restaurant and the rooms, has the health department been notified? Do they have to give you any type of special clearance? Approvals?
No one's been notified at all of anything because we felt we needed to come to the town first. So it would be somewhat presumptuous of us to go elsewhere without the approval and the authority that the town would give us. I haven't really even gone down that path because I didn't want to be out in front of the town board.
Okay.
So Butch, the building inspector and the health department would work together to make sure all the appropriate permits were in place.
Okay. And the opening of the kitchen for guests only, is that going to include alcohol? And what is the status of your liquor license?
I don't know the status of the liquor license, and I can find out for you.
Okay.
As far as alcohol is concerned, I don't believe so. I thought the only thing that I was told, and again, I'll verify this because I want to be certain I understand how important the question is. My understanding is that there was not going to be alcohol served. This was just strictly local restaurant operations solely for guests to give them some food when they're there. But I'll confirm that for you and be certain about that.
So the restaurant then would be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
There were hours that are listed in the code of conduct as to what they would be open on. And yes, they could conceivably serve 3 meals if that's what the guests wanted.
Okay. And in terms of the swimming pool, do you see that opening in the near future?
No idea. That's really dependent upon the governor and when that type of operation would be allowed consistent with social distancing and protections. That's something I have no way of knowing when that will occur or whether it will occur at all.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right. And in terms of signage, is there going to be
Robin, if I could just go back for 1 second. I know that so far the county is reluctant to open any pools. So this would have to have county approval.
Okay.
So they're going to weigh in before it would be open anyway.
Okay. And in terms of signage, will there just be a sign at the Country Club Lane entrance
A sign for,
indicating that it's the Selena Lodge,
haven't even thought about signage, Robin, to be honest with you.
so people can find you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm assuming that the people that are going to be coming will be given directions to get there. But if signage is a concern, it's certainly something that we can discuss and go over and come to an understanding of what sign would be placed where. I'm not sure whether the concern is that you want to be sure that people get to the site and don't drive around the local streets, or if you're concerned about the sign itself. So whatever the concern is, and maybe there's multiple concerns, we can address that. Signage
Okay.
is going to be a big problem on our end,
Okay.
as long as we know what people want.
And finally, the memorandum of understanding, is that something that is going to be available for us residents to look at, or is that just something between you and the board?
No, we'll put, it's basically going to be based on the code of conduct.
Okay.
And I'll talk to Rod about the wording of the illegal agreement, and I'll circulate. I'll get a copy of it to you.
Right. And
Okay.
Robin, if you haven't seen the code of conduct.
I have seen the code of conduct.
Okay,
I'll
good.
send you the new one, Robin.
Okay, great.
Steve, I'm actually
you.
going to forward to Robin your email from this afternoon,
That's
which
fine.
also has your contact, your phone numbers on it.
That's right.
And I would appreciate, Robin is a great contact and a community leader out here. So if you two guys could be in contact, that would be helpful to make this process go smoother.
That would be my pleasure.
Thank
I've
you.
really been wanting to have direct communications with the neighbors, and I'm
Okay.
really happy to do that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
said-
looking, and Steve, we're looking forward to that as well.
Good, good.
As I said in the meeting the other day, Steve, I think and Bill, it's real important that Robin and the folks in the neighborhood see all this. It's all very transparent,
Mhm.
and they're in on this from day one. Otherwise, I can't vote for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Richard, I'm with you 100%. Look, the bottom line is that there's been a lot of problems with this property for a long time. We know that. And this is a new business. They're very good people. They're just really nice people. They want to be a credit to Woodstock. And I assure you that I will do everything I can to make sure that, Robin, your concerns, other neighbors' concerns are communicated, and that we really do the hard work to make sure that they're addressed. Nobody wants to have the problems of the past repeated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any other questions?
Iris.
Where are we-
Go ahead, Richard.
Where are we going from here?
So I was just going to say, what I would like the board to do, and Robin, you can weigh in too, is by
I
the
had
end of
some.
the week, you too, Iris, I'll send you a copy.
No, I mean, I had something to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, I thought we were still in a stay-at-home until June 15th, unless something was just,
Hotels have never been closed.
ah,
That was my big fight with the governor. Now, we can condition this opening, we can set a date for this opening, but I do think we need to prepare for the eventuality that it will be, people will start to come again. But all the other, Woodstock Way is back open. The Woodstock Inn will be opening at the end of the month. They're all permitted to do business.
so I wonder how that works with, if we're in a stay-at-home, but
Yeah.
yet everyone else is going to be walking around and not really being in a stay-at-home.
Iris, this is my argument with the governor when he said that it was okay to go rent a B&B in Woodstock for the weekends. How does that jive with stay at home? It doesn't.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's been a frustration from day one.
Well, I'll be staying at home.
So
I don't want to run into anybody who came from someplace else,
what I will do, what I'd like the board to do, and Robin, you can weigh in, is look at the latest code of conduct, which I sent out late this afternoon. Give me your thoughts and feedback on it. We would be talking about short term, 3 to 4 months, that this understanding would be in place, and that, you know, it would be reviewed, and it could be extended as long as we continue to make forward progress at the planning board. And then I will converse with Steve and Rod about the actual document, the MOU, which will contain the code of conduct in it. And I'll get it out to the public and the town board as soon as possible.
Bill, to the point Laura made earlier, the email I saw had said it had 2 attachments, but they were both the same. Was there supposed to be something else?
There was a code of conduct, and I think I just forwarded you Steve's actual email. I think what I did earlier was I pulled the 2 attachments off. So you should have the email he sent with 2 separate attachments.
Okay.
One will be the questionnaire. The other is a slightly revised code of conduct.
So shouldn't the code of conduct include the fact that there is a questionnaire? I know the questionnaire is.
It does say that, Laura. The updated code of conduct.
I've got it open right now. So the updated code of conduct, any idea where it is in the updated code of conduct? Because I'm not seeing a pointer to the, I see the separate document that you sent.
It says COVID-19 questionnaire in blue.
Oh, gotcha. There you go. There it is, even underlined. Got it.
Underlined and in blue.
And in blue.
Obvious.
Okay, so I'll wrap this up for the evening. Steve, we'll talk over the next couple of days. Board, if you can give me feedback by, say, Friday, and we'll continue to have a conversation. Our next meeting isn't until the 2nd Tuesday in June, but depending on how this progresses, we could call a special meeting next week or the week after. So
that would be appreciated so much. Really would appreciate it.
Okay. And Robin, you should have the email from Steve that he sent us today with both the code of conduct, the questionnaires, and his contact information. And again, feel free to reach out, and particularly about those more future questions, which we're not really dealing with today. You should go back and forth with Steve on that. So,
Bill, one quick question.
Yep.
You said the planning board, did the planning board start the site plan review?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they're well.
Where is the planning board? Have you talked to them? I just want to make sure they're on board and everything coincides here.
I talked to Peter Cross today about this, and John Laval. I told them that I would be attending their Zoom meeting on Thursday to give them an update about this meeting. And we'll go from there. So I think Peter had a pretty good understanding of what was going on. We're not sidelining the planning board. They've still got to go through. This is a temporary start here. And incidentally, and I've started to talk to the board members about other businesses that we may feel the need to allow certain things over the next few months to help these businesses survive. For instance, one of the examples I've used to you guys is, outdoor seating where they don't have any. They couldn't possibly get through the planning board in a timely fashion. So we may be deciding to make certain allowances for numerous businesses in town. But that's a subject for another meeting, and we can take that up when the time
Bill,
comes.
you might want to mention to Rod in that regard that there was recently a post with a number of comments. I posted one comment on the section of the Bar Association that's the local governments, about that exact question about how outdoor seating for restaurants might be handled, and the challenges that are associated with that. There were a lot of good comments that were made in that.
Is that something that you could email to me, or?
I could email the link to you. You may need to be a member to get access, but
you know what?
To do that.
I'll mention it to Rod, and the next time you two talk,
bring it up.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Sure.
Okay. with that, I will move on. There's just a couple of quick announcements. I think I mentioned last.
Everybody, thank you all very, very much.
Steve, thank you. I'll be in touch.
Okay, bye.
I mentioned, I believe at our last meeting, but there'll be no Memorial Day parade. The Legion will be doing what they referred to as a private ceremony with limited participation at the memorial up in the cemetery. The other thing is that while we've made no official decision, I don't see how we're possibly going to have a summer camp this year. A number of other towns have already canceled. As I mentioned earlier with Salinas, I'm hard pressed to see that the health department is going to allow the swimming pool to open anytime in the near future. And by that point, half the summer or more could be gone. So I don't see that happening. And then the last thing, I just wanted to get a quick report from Councilman Hepner. Where are you, Councilman Hepner? Today's events at the links, can you give us an update?
We'll wait till the end. We'll wait till the end.
You want to wait till the very end?
Yeah, I want to stretch this out.
Okay.
It's more painful that way.
Painful for who? You?
No, I'm not,
No,
mentioning,
okay,
I'm not mentioning anybody's name, Bill. You just go on with the
Okay,
meeting.
fair enough then. I'm going to hop over to some resolutions then. Be it resolved to accept minutes for meetings held on April 21st and May 12th.
I'll second that. I will have a couple of comments, Jackie, that I'll send to you.
Email.
Nothing major.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to accept the town clerk's report.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize payment of audited vouchers in the amount of $133,430.19.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize. What? Oh, Ashley, can you put Reggie's voice on? Ashley,
I think he muted. I can't
Oh,
unmute
there you go.
it.
He's good now.
you're good
There you
now. Did you vote aye on all those, Reggie?
Yes.
Okay.
Who's answering me, Jackie? You say yes?
Yes.
She already knew. She's a mind reader or a lip
Yes.
reader. Be it resolved to authorize transfers per transfer sheet.
I seconded that already.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 217 of the Woodstock Town Code, trees, the Mud Club of 43 Mill Hill Road made application with the town board to remove a sizable dead tree in the front yard, and whereas Section 217-3 provides protection for trees planted in the properties contiguous to Route 212, and whereas the tree is in poor health may pose safety concerns, and whereas the highway superintendent and building inspector concur the tree should be removed, be it resolved to authorize the removal of the tree with the condition that a new tree be planted in its place.
Second, for purpose of discussion.
Yep.
Do we happen to know what kind of tree they're taking out and what kind of tree they're putting in?
Well, they wanted to put a maple tree in, and it's a maple tree that's coming out, but he also agreed that he'd be happy to discuss. He and Michael Veach seem to have a wonderful rapport. They'd be happy to discuss with the tree committee other options. So
Yeah.
they were both happy enough to work on that.
Okay, sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to set the cap for STRs for 2020 at 300 with a maximum of 100 of that total being non-owner occupied.
Second, for purpose of discussion.
Yep, discuss away.
I think that's high.
It's 40 lower than last year. I think Bill has said earlier today, it was 340 last year. So it
Mhm.
is a drop of 40.
Yeah, but we only had, I thought that we had agreed that we were going to set it, we are going to run it for a year and then cap it at that, which is 241, 243.
Mhm.
That's
There was
not, that's not what we're doing.
No, that's correct. That's not necessarily what I wanted back then, but that's what got voted on. I'm open to.
Well, that's called a democracy, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying not all of us agreed with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in my opinion, a drop of over 10% is, I have several opinions on this. One is a drop of over 10%, I think still moves us in the direction that we want to go. And my other opinion is when we first were talking about doing an STR law to begin with, we put a noise ordinance in around then and also an STR law. And I believe that all of the complaints that we were getting, what motivated us to have an STR law was a lot of complaints. And between the noise ordinance and the STR law, I haven't seen the complaints being as big of an issue. So in my opinion, I am happy to see us go down by over 10%. And if we do know that there's a problem, then maybe we need to be stricter next year. But to me, we're going in the right direction. And it seems that we've solved the worst of the problem. Not that we don't have more to solve, but the huge complaints we were having that caused us to do
You
the
got
STR law.
you got no way of knowing if you've solved any problems with the lockdown we're under.
Well, we weren't in a lockdown until 2 months ago. We had all
Which
of last year.
is when the high season starts.
But we had all of last year. I thought that we had a bigger issue back in 2018 and 2017. I didn't hear as many issues in 2019.
Laura is correct on that. I mean, I did not get as many complaints. I think a lot of that had to do even before we adopted the law. I think that the owners took us very seriously and self-policed and cracked down on a lot of the issues. The other concern I have, if we drop it too far, is one, I will remind you what I told you back when we passed this, is that the cap is the one area where our town attorney is a little leery of having to defend. And two, I think with this lockdown, you know, people, right or wrong, will be able to make the argument, hey, I couldn't come and apply, blah, blah, blah. So I think the 300 is over 10% decrease in the direction you guys had hoped to see it go in. So Reggie, where are you with 300?
I felt like when we discussed it a few months ago, and I'm not speaking for Lauren because I can't recall his answer, but I thought 300 was where we were comfortable with.
Okay.
Again, I can't remember what.
Here's
Go
just
ahead.
so, I'm sorry, you're done, Rich?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just so people know where we are. And I sent the numbers to the board the other day. We're at 247 or 49, something like that. That includes anything that may be in the pipeline, whether they've gone to the ZBA for a variance or whatever it may be. Okay, so we're at 247 after a year. Okay. The number of non-owner occupied, excuse me, 17. Now there may be more in the pipeline, I'm not sure. I said from the outset when we talked about this last year, I am not in favor of non-owner occupied. I think it's disruptive to the community. I think it doesn't help the community, and it doesn't help the neighbors to have businesses in areas that we don't allow businesses in. So I'm willing to, vote on maybe a compromise here. And that would be somewhere between the 300 and whatever, I forget what Lauren said, 250 or 275 or whatever.
I'd go 275 myself with a cap on 100.
Can I just say, Lauren, we did say last year that we would be bringing it down.
Yeah.
That was clear to everybody. Okay?
Sure.
The level of where we're bringing it down is what's really being discussed here.
And nobody's arguing about bringing it down.
No,
Right.
No, I just want to make sure everybody understands where we are, because people don't follow this like we do. And this is nothing to, I think people that are coming here now will tend to stay here, long term. I think there will be a reduction in short-term rental, but I'm not sure how much. We're gonna have to wait and see.
I agree.
Go
ahead, sorry.
I would also like to see, and credit to Butch and the building department and everybody up there for handling this first year of the application process and the inspections and all those things. So things should go much smoother now because people have already been through the process, most of them. Okay. So what I would really like to see, and I don't know how we incorporate this, but now's the time to begin investigating those people that are operating illegally and coming down on them because they have a year now to sign up. It's not like we're hiding this. And that would open up a lot more, maybe long-term apartments and things like that.
Well, you and I talked with Butch a couple of weeks ago, and I think we were all in agreement that at this point, we're ready to start sending out letters to everybody on that list who hasn't, actually letters to everybody. Those who need to re-up for the year need to re-up, and those who haven't either need to get in under the cap or cease and desist.
Exactly, but you got to go out and find those who haven't gotten in.
Well, we have the list from the county.
From the county, and it's going to take a certain amount of searching on Airbnb, probably. But people in good faith signed up, and we're thankful for that, and God bless them. But there's people out there operating. We've seen it through the pandemic. There's people operating illegally, and that's got to stop.
Okay.
The other side of this too is, we're in the pandemic, and there's naturally these discussions about people coming from the city and those types of things. I don't want to. We need to think about that. That shouldn't be the determinant, but we also need to be thinking about that in terms of going forward as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I made the motion for 300. If anybody wants to change that, if there are three that want to support the 300.
What'd you say, Lauren?
I'd go 275.
I'm comfortable with Lauren on that number, 275. And I think, Richard, you were in agreement. You felt better about 275?
Yep, I do.
275 is about 20%. I know I'd feel more comfortable if we went, say, to 290. 290 would be a 15% drop from where we were. 290 would be 15% down from 340. So it seems to me that doing a 20% drop going to 275 seems a little severe. That's my opinion. But
Can I just jump?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Laura. If we have three, what?
Well, if there are three of you, if it's Reggie, Lauren, and Richard, say 275, that's a quorum says 275. My preference would be to drop down, say 15%. Rather than a full 20%. It seems like a jolt to the people.
I have a question. So if we're at 249 and those are folks that are in the pipeline now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's everybody that could be.
That could be, right? So I think what we talked about last year was whatever that number was, we said, let's look at the number that come in and then we'll bump it up. We'll give a little, wiggle room. Right, for those folks that still maybe haven't applied or are interested in getting their STR, we'd give like a little buffer, right? So it wasn't like we weren't going to do something like make it 250 and we had 249. So only one person is able to apply, right? So Laura, I still like even if our numbers, if we're going off our numbers, if we're at 250, let's just bump it up to that one. We're at 250. There still is that room. That 25, which to me is just like a nice little buffer in between what we're, looking at our actual numbers, right, and then giving that little extra. I don't know what the word. I don't know if buffer is a right word, but just like a little cushion there for some folks that maybe hadn't been a part of it that were interested, or for new STR applicants. So
how about?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was going to say, I feel like 275. I understand what you're saying, Laura, about the number, about 290, but we're still doing what we said by looking at our numbers, basing it off of that, and we're still bumping up. So we're not being restrictive and saying like, okay, it's going to be 250 and that's it. We still have that additional 20, 25, or 26.
Yeah. Well, my concern is, my concern is that there may be people that didn't register that really should have. And when they go to try to do the right thing, if we put the cap too low, they're going to get turned away. So, and maybe we shouldn't worry about the people that maybe didn't register that should have, but I do know how passionately people spoke about when people do have the short-term rental, it is helping them pay their taxes here, and it is helping them establish their second home here so that when they're ready to retire, it's helping them make ends meet so they can establish a second home and then move here when they do retire. So I am very concerned at moving down too much at once. So I will vote no to 275. I love you all, and it can pass with 3, and don't hold it against me if I vote no, but I do believe that it's too sharp of a drop. I will vote for 290. That's as low as I'm comfortable.
Laura, can I just ask you a question really quick? So don't you think, though, that all of those people that you're talking about that were doing this, you know, to keep and have their second homes or because they wanted to retire here, don't you think, since this has been a year out, like Richard was saying, they've already had an opportunity, like they're in that number? Are you really feeling like there's a huge chunk of people that have waited for over 1 year as we've been talking about this? It's not news to anyone that currently has an STR. A number of them have been packing the town board meetings when we're having the public meetings about it, right? So do you feel like that number is that big of people that have not been involved in this process at all, that it would really jump up and that people would be shut out of this process by having it at 275?
I don't know. I'm just a believer that we should be continually moving in the right direction, which we would be by dropping it 10 or 15%. And I also believe that we should not do things in a way that gives people a jolt. And I think that a 20% drop is going to give people the jolt. So I would want to work with the people and encourage everybody to register and have a number that still gives room for people to do so. And I think our first number was set by the actual numbers of STRs that the county told us were in existence. So it seems to me that there may be people in there that didn't register yet, and they should have, but I don't want to be punitive. I want to help people do the right thing. So my low number is 290. Again, I love you all. If 3 of you have a quorum for 275, I love you all. I will vote no to 275.
The number was set, the original number was set by the steering committee that handled this. The actual number at the time when we were first meeting with that committee was higher than 350. Okay, it's come down. Okay.
Actually, when we set it, it was 320, and we added a little to it.
What do you mean?
When we adopted
320, or when we adopted.
When we adopted, it was 323 or 328, and we added a little to it.
But when the committee was meeting, recommended, I think the committee recommended 350. It was actually, anyway. Let me try this. Now, it's possible that those people who have registered and done everything right, we thank them for that, something may happen. They're because of the virus, they're out of town or they're not paying attention, and they go to register and the cap's filled. I would recommend they be allowed to re-register even if the cap is filled. How about that?
So people that already registered, you're saying people that already registered, if the cap gets filled, allow people that already registered to still register even if the cap gets filled?
Because they were doing the right thing in the first place.
But they were already part of the cap.
Oh no, they got to re-register for the year.
Re-register.
Yeah, he's saying if the cap gets met by people that are registering for the first time, people that couldn't re-register and the cap already got met, let them slide in. That's
well, anybody who's registered gets first dibs to re-register the following year.
They got to re-register though. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'd like to point out a couple things here. This myth that people are buying the houses up here, renting them out, and then they're going to retire and move up here, and their kids are going to join the fire company, and we're all going to be drinking free Bubble Up and eating rainbow stew is crap.
Whoever said that?
Their investments, pure and simple. Every real estate agent will tell you that. and their investment's pure and simple. And then you can ask anybody who's ever worked for me. I'm not much on rewarding bad behavior, and that's what you're doing. So 275 is as high as I'm willing to go. And I won't get my feelings hurt if I get voted down. I ain't gonna say that I love all of you.
I
Come
know.
on. I was gonna vote with Laura. and Bill.
Except Reggie. I really do love Reggie.
I love you too.
There's a motion on the table. Does somebody want to amend it?
I was going to vote with Laura and Bill just so you would say you love me.
I'll amend it to 290 and see if it flies.
Is there a second?
Is there a way to compromise and just meet at like 280?
Laura, can we get you to 280?
280, going once.
Laura, there's
Just to meet a little bit in the middle.
Well, let me ask, so Bill, how do you feel about 280?
You just go ahead and make the motion.
I'll go for 280. I will.
A second for 280.
I'll second 280.
All in favor on the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Just to get it over with. Yep.
Reggie?
It's
I said aye.
Lauren?
I was waiting for Lauren. I don't think he's.
Nah.
Me too. Nah. all in favor.
Who's voting on this?
The resolution.
Well, the amendment
3-2.
passed.
The amendment passed 3-2.
At
Okay.
280.
I got it.
280.
So to vote on the
Bill
resolution
and
now.
you and Lauren voted no?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
To vote on the cap of 280 for 2020.
Okay.
With the maximum of 100 still in there, correct?
Yeah.
So who voted no besides Lauren?
Lauren and I voted no.
Wait.
Oh, you, Bill. Yeah, you know, I was gonna say another way to look
Hold
at
on, there's a resolution on the table.
I will make, did you make the resolution for 280, Bill?
So
It was
that's
already
the
made.
resolution on the table.
Well, I understand, but you made the resolution. You just looking for a second, correct?
Yes.
I will second 280.
Okay, any conversation?
Now, hold on. Question. No. Let's back up a second. We're at 280. Is that where we are?
We're at
Correct.
280.
I don't see much of a difference. Okay.
A difference.
So are we also breaking? Laura said something about 100. That's what it was. I
Oh.
wasn't sure what she meant.
Well,
Oh,
the
with the
original, let me read the resolution. Be it resolved to set a cap for SDRs for 2020 at 280 with a maximum of 100 of that total being non-owner occupied. Laura
I
seconded
can't go
that.
with that.
What'd you say?
I can't go.
Let's just then discuss it.
So it doesn't say that
Oh,
it has to
okay.
be 100, right? It says up to, that's like an up to. So
Up
that's
to
not,
for non-owner
that's
occupied.
not committing us to say that we'll have 100. We
But
still,
it permits us to have 100.
it
Correct.
permits us to have up to a maximum of. It's not saying we will have to have 100.
Listen, I'm happy to just say 280 STRs and call it a day.
I don't think that to me would open up additional non-owner occupied, and I just can't good conscience vote for that.
Okay.
I don't think it does anything for our community.
It's the worst thing ever
And
happened
I
to this town.
understand these are homes that people, on the lower economic scale can't afford. I understand that. So people say, well, what's the difference? The difference is if people are living in them long-term, they at least become part of the community. Whether they get involved or not, it's a stable operation. You know who your neighbor is and all those types of things. But to have, the possibility of more business coming in next door to you where people are in and out every weekend, I don't think that builds a neighborhood. I don't think that builds a town.
Richard, what number do you want of non-owner occupied? What number are you proposing instead of 100?
Well, forget where we were. I would say 75. I'd go that.
I would say,
I would go 0 if I could, but I know I can't. So,
right.
Well, you see, I disagree with you totally there because the owner occupied are the ones that are taking away our affordable rentals.
I disagree with you on. Yes, to
The
take away
the 4-bedroom homes out in Willow that are being used as Airbnb will never be affordable housing.
That part is correct, but when you have a non-owner occupied building, people treat the neighborhood like it's a rental car. They put their garbage out when they leave on Sunday night. The garbage man comes Wednesday, but the bear comes Monday night. And it's spread all over the place, and it's consistent. And these
Well,
are all non-owner occupied.
That's not just the B&Bs. That happens to a lot of the weekend homes, period.
Yeah, well, however it is, but what you're doing is you're getting more weekend garbage put out there. You're getting more people. I mean, I had one up here. It trashed the neighborhood. I'll go as low as we think we possibly could.
Somebody make an amendment then.
Richard, I think already said, right? Didn't you say Richard? Richard.
I would go 75. I prefer to go 50, but I'll go 75 in the interest of compromise.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. That's as high as I'll go on.
All right.
So Richard, you made the amendment, and Lauren, you're gonna second?
That's correct.
Thank you.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote on that one. Be it resolved.
Anybody opposed?
I'm an aye also. Everybody else went aye, I'll go aye.
Okay, so it's 5-0. Thank you.
Be it resolved to set the cap for 2020 at 280 with a maximum of 75 of that total being non-owner occupied. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
Aye.
No,
Who were
who's
the
nay?
nays? We had Richard and Lauren nay?
No, I said aye.
I said
Bill
nay.
said nay.
Oh,
Bill
Bill
said-
Bill and
I
Lauren
was
were
nay.
nays.
Lauren,
Okay.
what did you say, Lauren?
I
said
said
aye.
aye for.
Okay.
Oh, you said,
I'm so
You
confused.
said aye first. Do you want to change your mind?
Oh my God. We all
Oh,
said
come
aye
on.
except Bill. Bill was on the nay.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you.
so Bill, you wanted it all higher, I think, right? So you were,
Listen, and it's purely from a standpoint of defendability for the town. I think it's a little bit too much of a job. It's not huge, but, we don't have to all vote together all the time. It's all good. Last resolution, be it resolved to appoint Dennis Lyman full-time permanent police officer at a rate of $24.78 effective May 1st, 2020.
Second.
So we have had a similar resolution on. He's finally passed all his physicals and tests and everything else, so we can make it totally official. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Councilman Hefner,
What?
do you have a report to give?
Oh, not quite yet. Not quite yet. I got a little more.
We're done. What else?
Well, no,
Wait.
I want to bring up one thing here. Tinker Street, the road condition. We're hold on. We're in our
Yeah.
this at least the second year. I've been frankly bitching about this. It's a mess. If they're not going to pave it, I don't know what to say. I know we're not supposed to do it, but damn it, so it's just embarrassing. It's an embarrassment.
It's terrible. There's no reason they shouldn't grind it up. I argue with them every 6 weeks or so.
I'm not saying anything to you. I'm just that you
No,
don't know.
and I'm not taking it personally. Maybe what we should do, I'll put together a letter to the governor and to our representatives.
Yeah.
I agree with you. There's one hole out there by Tannery Brook that you could almost lose a Volkswagen in.
I think there is one in there.
There could be. I know Jogger John filled it in with dirt one time. So
Well, there's another big one right there too.
yeah, it's terrible. So I will continue. Maybe I'll put together a letter, and we'll send it off to the governor. And of course, we're in rough times now, so they're going to use that as a crutch. But
I know, but
I hear you.
I know.
Totally
Because
agreement.
a lot of people think it's the town's fault, and
Oh, I get calls all the time.
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
And it's embarrassing to sit here and say there's nothing I can do. It comes down to the only thing they can do is grind up and repave. And that extensive a project would require them to bring everything into ADA compliance. And it's just too big a project for the local region to handle. So they have to make it a statewide capital improvement. And we talked about this last year, and it could be as long as 5 years before we see anything.
Well, if they wait much longer, they won't have much to grind up anyway.
They won't have anything to grind up. Maria Elena, you had something. Yep.
2 quick things.
Yeah.
One, I wanted to acknowledge from last week, we had those 2 organizations that came to town, Harambe and the Season Giving.
Yeah.
And they did a wonderful job, and I'm glad we were able to jump in and pitch in and help them hand out masks.
Yes.
A lot of folks were very appreciative, and anything to help keep the community safe, I think, is important. And I'm really grateful that they came and wanted to kind of bring together the community. So I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you for being involved with that.
Yeah, it was great. And the other thing, Laura, I know you were discussing those 2 signs.
Oh, yes.
And the 2 locations. Is there a chance that we could have one also at Overlook? Because I know we discussed this last week, that's also kind of problematic with folks coming in from out of town. And, if the gentleman that's working on these signs would be amenable to making a 3rd one, given, if there's support from the board, would we be able to put something there as well?
Let me talk to the state, because that's their property and their parking lot. And they're a little particular, but let me talk to the DEC, who control that, and express our concern about the safety, and see if they can't come up with something.
Okay.
So,
Okay, and then
or
Bill,
permit us to put something up.
yeah,
Right.
and Bill, let me know if the 3rd sign, if it did cost anything, because the 2 signs, he has the materials in his workroom, and he's willing to donate the materials in his time. A 3rd sign may or may not cause a purchase, but it would be small. We had $200 budget. If there was a 3rd sign, it would definitely be less than $200. So in any event, if it's decided that there is a 3rd sign, let me know and we'll work it out.
Laura, good job on that sign. I liked it a lot.
Thank you. I will tell my friend who made signs professionally for the city of Kingston for 15 years. So he definitely knows how to make a sign.
Yeah,
Where
definitely.
are you,
Good job.
Jackie?
Yeah, thanks.
I'm sorry.
Where are you?
I'm hiding.
Yeah, what are you doing?
He's up in the ceiling, I think.
You're looking out my windows.
Apparently
Eating
so.
dinner?
That's a very nice desk you have there.
That
Laura,
is.
do you know, Laura,
What
do
is
you
that? Hornet
know-
spray?
Yeah, that's ant spray. Be careful.
Do we know when the signs might go up? No, I'm just wondering.
Well, the hope would be, this is real fingers crossed. The belief is that they can be made by day after tomorrow. And the hope is that they could go up as soon as Friday. And my understanding I didn't talk to every one of you, but my understanding was that there's a consensus that they'll actually both go in the triangle where 375 meets 212. What our highway department has said is that the bottom of the sign must be 7 feet off the ground, and that there'll be the 3 foot by 2 foot signs, 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide, and that one would be so that motorists coming in 375 would see one of the signs, and that motorists coming from Saugerties in on 212 would see the other one. So that's my understanding of what the consensus is for the board. So that's the direction I'm going at the moment.
Okay.
And my thought was it'd be great to get it in before Memorial Day weekend. So talk to Boney and Highway, very accommodating. I know we say every now and then how much we love our town employees, but I talked to Boney and Highway, and he was, if I have to do it myself Friday, I'll do it myself. So he was pretty, as long as it's a priority. But I did say, Bill sets the priority, so I was just asking what the possibilities might be. But I talked to Bill earlier today, and he was supportive of, or I think it was yesterday when we talked, supportive of that happening. So We'll see if they go up Friday. That's kind of like a best case scenario, but that's the hope.
Good, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
So, Councilman Hepner?
I actually, something serious, you mentioned Memorial Day.
Dragging
No,
this-
seriously, you mentioned
Okay.
Memorial Day, and it's sad that, we're not going to have the usual parade and all that. But we can still remember all those who served and fought from what,
You know what I
we
did?
need to.
I did talk to the Legion and, ask what kind of presents, and they, they really, I think they were pretty insistent on wanting to have very low key, very few members. They've got a lot of their members are older and possibly in high risk groups, so they wanted to keep it a small crowd.
No, it's understandable. Yeah.
But we, you're right. We can all sit and remember them on that day.
You gonna ring the bell for him?
I would love that.
I'll reach out and ask if they'd like that.
Yeah, Lauren, that's so appropriate.
Why don't you plan on doing that, and I'll get back to you if they don't want it.
I
Yeah.
can't
Sounds like
imagine
a
them
nice
not.
idea.
Get us a time
Beautiful.
too. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
give us the
will.
time. The time is
Beautiful.
important. No flags this year, or what? We didn't get a request?
They're going to be putting up the flags. They actually had enough flags left over, I think, from last year. They should be going in pretty soon.
I have a question
No.
for Ashley.
Yes,
Ashley?
sir.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I see her over there drinking out of a mason jar, which makes her like the woman of my dreams, and I'm
Oh,
wondering what's in
That's
that
all we
mason.
own. That's our whole cabinet is mason jars.
What's in the mason jar, though? Hold it up. Let's see.
We want to know. We want to know what's in the mason jar.
Here,
Lauren,
Moonshine.
Lauren,
It's water.
is it the woman of your dreams or what's in the mason jar that's in your dreams?
It's all the same.
All right. Sorry, Ashley.
If you shake if you
I'll
shake
take what I can get.
if you shake it up, does it hold a bead on top?
Not sure I want to try that.
Okay, well, that's how you tell whether it's been watered or not.
Oh.
All right. Anybody else have anything else to add?
Oh, I do.
Oh,
Okay.
my God.
If
Yes,
nobody
Mr.
has anything
Rose.
else, then we'll just end the meeting.
Richard, you are lonely.
No,
Lonely.
ask Mr. Rose. This is the big finish, Jackie.
Oh, oh my God, we've been waiting for this.
Yes. Ask Mr. Rose how his day has been.
Lauren, how has your day been?
My day has been about as bad a day as I've ever had.
Really?
Yep, everything, every vehicle I got's broken. It's just terrible. And then I went out on the golf course and got beaten like a rented mule.
Oh,
So it just
Ask
Who
him.
beat you?
ask
Jerry Washington? Who beat you? Is it Jerry?
I can't even remember. I got beaten so bad that I walked out of there in a daze and can't even remember.
Really?
Ask him if he saw somebody chipped in from off the green for a birdie on the last hole. I don't know if he remembers.
Is there any truth to that?
You know, you get the feeling that you're not just playing against one person when stuff like that happens. You get the feeling that there's higher voices speaking. So
It's about time you recognize that. Yes.
well, you know, you got to seed the clouds if you want it to rain later. So I'm all right with it.
You know, I would just wait till the next match, and I'm sure this story could be quite different.
No, it hasn't been that way this year.
No,
No. Hey, listen, Laura said that she loved all of us. Are we all feeling the same?
You did say that multiple times tonight, Laura. You're
I
very
know.
lucky tonight.
Do we need to sing
Come on,
Kumbaya?
Reggie.
I never said
Are we
that
all feeling the love tonight?
no.
Yes, Jackie.
All right. Do the little
All right.
heart sign.
So for all
The heart
feeling the
sign?
love, this would be a good time to pair up for the street lights.
Oh, Jesus.
Stop. Get on that part of that.
No, you and I are out of it, Jackie. It's between the
Thank God.
council. They're just going to report back.
Well, I'm happy to pair up with anybody that's willing to go out for a
I
walk.
think this is a grounds for impeachment, but that's me.
God
I
bless.
never go out after dark, so I can't find the street lights.
Oh, you can do it during the day. It doesn't have to be at night.
But then you don't know if they work.
I don't care if they
We're
work.
just counting them.
I just want you to make sure they're
We're
there.
doing an inventory.
An inventory and tell me if they're the LED or the regular.
How would they know?
You got to climb the pole.
No,
Yeah.
the old ones are the rounded and the LEDs are more rectangular, square.
Lauren, just
They're
pull out
square.
your bear claws. You'll do it.
Yeah. Hike right up there, and it's pretty small, but it'll say LED.
I actually got to see a bear rappel once.
Oh,
It
Really?
was very cool. They let go with their hind feet and they just loosen their front feet and slide down the tree like it's a big fireman's pole.
oh,
And
good
then
for them.
just before they hit the ground, they tighten their claws up and they stop and they just walk away.
How did
Wow.
they know they were getting
That
close
is
to the
so cool.
ground?
Are we done?
I'm done.
Well,
I'm done.
I have a quick question for Nick Henderson, who's still on mute. What would you, do we know when we're going to have hard copy Woodstock Times again?
Supposedly in June. I haven't been given a date. I was told June sometime.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got some sort of
So-
notice. I don't remember how I got the notice, but they said June.
Okay, cool.
But I
I'm
think
really
it's gonna be that consolidated one again.
Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
a combined one, at least
Yeah.
for the time being. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
is
really
that combined, because I know that the Woodstock Times, and then there are about 4 papers in the county, right? You mean it would be one combined paper for like the county, kind of?
Yeah, it's going to be that Hudson Valley one thing,
Ah,
but it's
okay.
going to be in print.
Okay.
I'm really jonesing for some Howard Harris letters.
Oh boy.
It's,
You don't need to Jones with the letters. You see him. He speaks to you.
He does. He
Yeah,
does.
I know. So you don't have to worry about what's in the paper. You get it fresh from his lips.
I've tried to embarrass and alienate him, and I can't seem to do it.
Never
I
happened.
have too, and it hasn't worked. It's been
Doesn't
17
work.
years, and it hasn't
Well,
worked.
embarrassment. Yeah, embarrassment. You're not going to do that.
all right.
Good night, everybody.
Are we done?
We're done.
All right.
Good night.
Hey, don't forget to get back to me by Friday.
So we're supposed to, do you get in a second for the adjourn bill?
Move to
No.
adjourn.
Second.
All in
Thank you,
favor?
Laura.
Aye.
Did you all hear me about
Aye.
Friday?
Friday.
About Friday, yes, we're going to get in touch with you about the signs, right? Or the
For the
No.
I'm
Selena.
out of here.
Think again, Reggie.
Selena was Friday, right?
Yes.
The old Pinecrest Lodge, which was owned by Morty Berkowitz.
What year did it open?
Geez, I don't know. Before I came
Good
around.
night, Ashley.
Good night, Jackie.
Can you
It's been here
sign
a
me
while,
off?
yeah.
Good night, Jim
Liam.
Bob. Good night,
Tom
Mary
Boy.
Ellen.
Jackie's gone. She said later.
Yeah.
You guys, bye.
You too, Felicia.
Yours.
Come on, shut down. I want to talk to Ashley for a minute.
Oh, you're talking to Ashley. Okay, so
Oh,
we're
no, we're going to stay on.
Shut them all